Trish. I messed up. I'm not quite ready. But we'll get it figured out. I came up and got everything going, and I hit go, and my headset was still downstairs. Oh, okay. Can you hear me okay now? Okay, good. I was saying I left my headset downstairs, so after I hit go, I'm like, I don't have my microphone. So I had to run downstairs. So I'm a minute or so behind where I should be right now. Let's clean up what I tried to do for a thumbnail but didn't work. Because I didn't have the camera pointed the right way. How are you today? That one's mangled. So we're going to wait and see if a couple of other people will show up before we get started. I'm doing pretty good. I got a lot done today. Got a bunch of stones and beads sorted. Got a bunch of stuff written in my computer so that I know what to charge for it once I make it. Found some really cool beads in my stash. Look at that. Dalmatian jasper. And I got some ruby and zoisite. And I got some crazy lace agate beads. Some rhodochrosite beads. I'm all set to see if maybe I can make some amazing earrings. Got a couple of ideas, but we'll see how they work. Okay, so I did that wrong. There we go. Yeah, I'm Selena. Hi. I started on the dot. I wasn't ready, but I hit go. Trying to figure out how to make my chat bigger on my computer. Doesn't seem to be giving me that option. Oops, I need to change that to live chat instead of top chat. Ha, I figured it out. You can barely hear me, but you hear the train. The train is 2 blocks away. Well, there's 2 people watching. So let's take a look. What I am going to try and do is make a beaded hoop earring. A beaded hoop set of earrings. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with 20 gauge. Can you hear me okay now? Going to start with 20 gauge gold. I'm missing a tool. Here we go. And we're going to go, I don't know, we're going to go small for the loop, but I still want to be able to scarf it when I'm done. So we're going to go, I don't know how much wire I'm going to need yet, but right now we're going to go about 3 inches in, and we're going to make a loop. And we're going to angle our wires. Hey, Rainbow Obsidian, how are you? Welcome to the show. Hey and bye. I hope you have a good evening too. So we're going to do 2 twists here. And we're just going to trim this off because we don't need it. Throw it in my little trash dish over here. And to show you that you can use household goods to work with your jewelry, I got a can of spices here that we're going to use to make our first loop. Now you have to remember, for me, I don't mind, because I want it to be a smaller type of loop. We're also going to need to bend the loop up. I want a smaller type loop. Bend the loop up like that. Straighten it out a little bit. But when you're measuring the loop that you want to make sure that you figure room for beads. Because the beads are going to go on there, and half of the bead is going to be inside the circle and half is going to be out. So you have to remember that. And I think we're going to go with the ruby zoisite. Now that I've got a decent amount of idea of what my loop is going to be, I'm going to go about 3 inches beyond that. And there's how much wire we need. So if I started with 3 inches before the loop, we'll give it another inch after the loop. And let's figure out how much wire I'm using. Straighten it back out. Get my handy dandy trusty ruler. And we're going to go with, we are at almost 8 3/4. Almost 8 3/4 inches of wire. So now I can make my bend. Squish that down, it's poking me. Now we make our bend. All right. Now we just need to add our beads. So we're just going to take and poke our beads in here. I'm going to make this a complete all the way around beads. The whole thing is going to be beads except for the loop. So I'm just going to stack them on here until we got about 3 inches of wire left. I'm just stacking them on, not doing anything in between. They're all going to be solid ruby zoisite. Everybody having a good day? Now that the wash machine fiasco at my house is over with, I had a pretty good day. I saw, Trish, that you had posted a picture of a ring you bought. I think it was you, wasn't it? Yep, they are really pretty. Oh, that one's all ruby almost. I want to put 2 of the mostly rubies together. And we're just stacking the stones. They're beads. Where's the hole? Throw a couple more on there. Now I'm going to make another one that matches it exactly. So now that I've determined about where I want it to be, let's take one off. Now we're going to go through and we're going to count them so we know how many to put on the next one. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17. And now we're going to move it in gently into a, oops, need to make sure the beads are tight against your crook up here before you start making your circle. And I'm going to go ahead and use this again to sort of help me get it curved correctly before I pull it in tight. The beads, of course, are spinning on the wire. All right, we got a nice little, except my loop is on the wrong side. There we go. We can fix that. Technically, it should be outside the circle. Once again, you got to make sure all of your, I have never made one of these before in my life, so you guys are watching me learn as I show you. Let's see, let's make this, I'm stuck. Let's curve this a little bit more. There we go, that kind of makes it look better. Get it hooked in here, Ray. So you were at a show. Were you selling at the show or bump it in? Then we just wrap it. We're going to wrap it. Trying to make a nice even stack here. Pull that up there. Straighten it out a little bit. I forgot you were 3 hours behind me, Zelina. I'm like, you're eating a late lunch, but I guess it's actually right at lunchtime for you, isn't it? Now you see that? That little end is sticking out back there. It's not pokey. Do not want your customers to get stabbed, no matter what. Stabbed, cut, poked, all of those are bad. All right. this around here. I'm going to trim it off about halfway across the circle, keeping a finger in front of the wire so it doesn't go flying into your eyeballs. Oh, are we 2 hours apart? Farmers and flea market. It's just a flesh wound. I know what you're referencing there. At least I think. Hopefully you're referencing Monty Python, but I could be wrong. Now my loop is a little weird up here at the top, so I'm going to squeeze around my round nose pliers, kind of round it out again. All right, so here, not quite round, but it's pretty close. There is number 1 earring. Got some really bright gold earring hooks. All right, earring hooks. I got a little spring and a little ball and a little loop. Now the loops you're going to open like you would any loop in jewelry, whether it be on a chain, jump ring, earring, hook. You always open it like you're doing it sideways. You don't want to open it. Where's the jump ring? I don't have a jump ring handy. I found one, or I found some, I should say. Found some really fancy jump rings. And I bought them to use on one specific project. I always just cut a little slit there, just big enough for one to come out so I don't have to take them out and put them in. So you have your jump ring or any other loop in jewelry, and you're gonna have a place where it's cut, where it's separated. You want to open a jump ring sideways, like so. Jump rings, loops, anything on a chain, anything that you're wanting to open up. And then you just close it up the same way and bring it back together again. You don't want to open them up this way. So if you open them up like you're opening up, what would that be? I don't know. But if you pull it apart like this, then down here, exactly opposite of where the jump ring is split, you will weaken that part of the metal, causing a failure at some point. Well, thank you, Trish. I don't know if they're amazing or not, but they're pretty cool, I think. I thought them up after you gave me the challenge. I've got another idea that we'll try when I'm done with this pair. My little ball is being a pain. There we go. So I've got my earring inside the hook. Hook is still open. And then you close it up sideways again. And there we go. And then I've got it completely backwards from where I want it to be. So you have 2 choices here. See, I want this to be the front because up here at the top, it's fairly pretty. Turn it around this way and you can see all the little twisting wire, but if you hang it on your ear like this, you're going to be able to see the twisted wire, and I don't want you to see the twisted wire. So I have 3 choices here, actually. I could take and get a hold of this little loop and spin this hook around completely the other way, but these hooks aren't all that strong, so that might break it. Another thing I could do is take it off and turn the hook around and hook it back on. Or I could be really crazy and just turn the whole top part of my earring, leave the hook alone, and now no twists on the back because I completely Flipped it around. Actually, I've made the back look even better. All right. Sometimes you make a mistake and it works out. So there's the first earring. So we're going to have to make it another one. Oh, what was the challenge? When I asked other people other than you, Zelina, what they would like to see me do. And Trish told me that she'd love to see some amazing earrings. I told her I wasn't sure I could handle amazing. All right, guys. I had the air conditioner cranked up as high as it would go for 2 hours, but it is already getting too hot in here for me to handle. So there's going to be some background noise. Wow. I guess it would be. We'd look a little odd, I think. All right, now I want to make sure that my loop is flat too, because it's bulging out in a couple of places, so to flatten it out. All right, so that's one down. Now we got to make another one. Well, yeah, we're only supposed to have one nose, and it's right in the middle of the face, so it makes it symmetrical. Hi, Mimi D. Thank you for coming. I didn't get to look on my video. Did my description of being rated G show up on the video before you clicked on it? So we need, what did I say? We had about almost 8 3/4 of wire. So there's that. And we took about 3 inches or so. Which one did I use? I used that one. Got to remember which hoop you use to make your hoop. Bend it around. Here's another little tip. You saw how when it was straight, I could come around here and then come around here. Well, that's a lot of work. This wire needs to be bent as well. Both wires bend. One can go more than the other, but you need to get the bend so that you have a full, complete circle. I went a little too far, so I have to straighten it out a little bit. See, that's why my other one went wonky. I did the same thing. All right, let's try this again. Sometimes you can squish it around and make it right before you start. I'm going to give this one a little tug. Oops, wrong pliers. It's another thing. There's certain things you shouldn't do with certain pliers. You shouldn't be using your round nose pliers. They're made to make loops and to open loops. I could take this loop and I could make it smaller by twisting this way, make it bigger by twisting this way, but they are not for opening jump rings, although they'll work. But other wire bending things, those are not good for it. You need your round nose pliers or flat nose pliers. If you use your tools for the wrong thing, then your tools are not going to be happy and you may end up breaking them. All right, we've made our loop. We're going to make a couple of twists here to lock that loop in. And we're going to trim off our little foot here. My twists are weird. We're going to pull them in a little bit. Squish down the pointy part so that it doesn't stab anybody. And I already forgot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I got 17 beads. Let's do it this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Now, I have these left. And I have some in there that are way more red than others. So we're going to trade out some of these redder ones for some of the not so red ones. Why? Because those red ones are really pretty. So I want to keep them to make maybe rings. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, there's our 17 beads. Thanks for advertising with the group. I'm the boss. How? You know, you noticed that I said my grandchildren might be watching. Okay, that's the part I wanted to make sure everybody could see. For anybody, of course, present company are much too ladylike to do anything like that. But I don't want anything that's embarrassing to myself or my grandchildren on here. So we're just going to string the beads onto the wire. Nope, can't control the trolls, but I can block the trolls if they get too trolly. At least I think I can. I may have to figure out how. Interesting, I could do it on my phone. Let's see, I can hide the user on this channel. Yep, I can make you disappear. I just can't do it from the laptop. But I can do it from my phone. See, I'm learning things. Some things you only learn how to do once you're involved. Oh, well, yeah, I'm the boss of the earrings. Every now and then I get a stone or a project that I'm doing that I'm wondering if I'm the boss or not. All right, that turned out about right. So I'll get my handy dandy spice thing over here. Find about the middle. Just gently bend it around. Gently bending it around. Hey, wire's fighting back. All right, I got my circle going here. Bring it over. They're running away. The beads are not as tight as they need to be. Got to make sure they're tight or you're going to have a lot of wire showing through. You got to get off camera a little bit, so you got to make sure that they're tight up against this one and then they're tight against each other before you start twisting your wire. Get this over here. Bend it up so that there's a place to grip it. And then we're just going to twist our wire around. This looks like a scarf on a person's head, so it's called scarfing. And we just bring it around and around. That makes our twist where we combined our wire together prettier. Now when it gets down to the last little bit, sometimes it doesn't want to bend around that curve. And now, so you can just use your pliers and move them around. So my loops are going to be a little bit different. I don't know why, but seeing it makes a little bowl here. I'm kind of preaching to the choir at the moment. Now these beads are not all that cheap, but figuring out my price, I've got, now that I know how many beads I'm going to use, I'm going to have to trim off just a little bit. I know how much the cost is per bead. I have that down. I'm not going to do the math in my head right now, but what I will do is I will go back later. I lost a little piece. There it is. I will go back later after I've counted all the beads, now that I know how many is on here, and I will figure out my costs. I used less than a foot of wire, so it's going to be $1 a wire. So that's going to be $2 to begin with. Get down in there. That thing does not want to go. My bowl is not big enough to tuck it away. That is concerning. So I'm going to call it $1 for the wire. So that's $2 for the pair. It's going to be $1 for both of the earring hooks. So we're up to $2. And then okay, you might want to start with a little more wire. Hi Sharon, how are you? But looking at these and how pretty they are, I'm going to have to redo this one, maybe. Maybe. Well, it's not quite straight. There we go. All right, guys. It's tucked away where you can't feel it. From this side, you can see it. See there? It's not getting... You can still see the end, but you can't feel it at all. It's completely gone. This side, you can't see it. How much of a perfectionist do I want to be? I want to start over or just put a hook and make that the front. A little more round. See if they're the same roundness. Yeah, they're pretty close. I think I'm just going to put on a hook and leave it alone. Make that the front. That's what I was thinking. Nobody's going to be looking at the back anyway. No, heat does not help headaches at all. All right, this can go away for the moment. Anyway, back to pricing. So I've got $2 in wire, another $1 in my earring hooks. That's just, they didn't. That's my general price. I have 3 different kinds of earring hooks. So I just do a general price of 50 cents each. close it up. You got to make sure with these little balls and springs, they like to get in the way. So you have to make sure that you really dig in there and find where it comes together and make sure that it is together. See, that one's not quite exactly straight. I need to go a little more. Maybe I should have gone a little less. So it's not all the way closed. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Gently, oh so ever gently, give it a squish. Because if you don't do it gently, it'll squish all right. It'll squish flat. So here is our first pair of earrings. Ruby zoisite. So let's see. I threw my piece of paper away. But anyway, I have written down somewhere. Will the wire go through what twice? Will it go through the bead twice? Is that what you're asking? I don't know if it will or not. Where's one of my little pieces? Wait, I have two pieces. There's the second one. We can find out real quick. Thank you, Trish. Except I can't get the piece of wire that I need. There we go. It was on my desk, and my desk is a slippery wooden surface. So it would... Let's see, probably not. Nope, they will not go through twice. The 18 gauge barely fits in there. I mean, barely. So yeah, the 20 gauge won't go through twice. So what I will do is I will have to go back into my computer, look up how many, or look up how much each bead is. There's 17 on each earring, 17 to 17, 14, 34. So there's 34, so I'll multiply that by 34. That'll be my cost. As far as price, it's going to be at least twice the cost, but I think I could sell these for 20. That's what I'm going to put them at. We'll see. That sounds like a reasonable amount for that kind of beauty. All right, now I'm going to make another type. That gold wire was parawire, 20 gauge. This silver wire is going to be 20 gauge as well. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use 18 for these. I'm going to use 18. I need this other spool because... So I'm going to use 18 gauge for this next set because it's going to be a little stiffer. I'm not so worried about this one getting mangled because the beads are there to help keep it straight, but I'm going to do something different. So we used 8 inches there and had a little bit of trouble. 8 3/4, so I'm going to use 10 inches of wire and make sure that that doesn't happen again. I am a fierce proponent of having more wire than I need instead of not enough, because that last little bit could have caused me to have to remake the entire thing. if she wants to pay $35, let her. My son is selling some of my jewelry at a music festival, and he said that somebody gave him $20 for something I had 15 on. They said keep it because it's worth 20. So hey, if the customer wants to pay me more, I ain't gonna argue. So we're getting 10 inches of silver 18 gauge wire. And we're going to start out the same way. I think I'm going to use the Dalmatian Jasper for this little experiment. Get rid of the ruler. Give me my 3 inches or so. And loop it around like so. As I said, everybody here knows what I'm doing, knows how I did the last pair. So I'm not going to go into super explanations because we've already been through it once. I'll just show you the idea that I had to make this a little different. Where's my flat nose? There they are. So hopefully this will go by quicker. She was on Matt's show. I think she was on last night. So I'm going to take, let's see what we got here. That looks pretty nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to take 7 of these and string them on here. But yeah, I think Carly Stone was at Matt's last night for a little while. Wow, it took me 45 minutes to get this all straightened out and make one pair of earrings. Yep, I'm charging $20. That sound like a fair price? Thank you, Sharon. I need more people to love my jewelry. People that come to my shows. My next show is on August 5th. I finished getting ready for it today. I'm all ready. All of my displays are filled out. All I got to do is set it up and unpack it. I can't find the hole. It looks too much like a dot. There it is. But yes, labor is part of the cost. But considering that I totally enjoy doing this, I fell into it by accident, but I totally enjoy doing it. So we're going to take these beads. I've got 7. These are Dalmatian Jasper. That's 8. I can't count. I wanted 7. Now I've got 7. So I want it to be close to the middle because I'm going to turn these into hoop earrings too. But on these, I'm going to have them where some of the wire shows at the top. So that they're going to hang down kind of like that. Oops, I let one get away. There we go. Snap him back into place a little bit more. So they are a little bit movable on the curve, so they can be kind of even. Yes, Sharon, I know what next Tuesday is. It is your birthday. What do you guys think? Worth making a pair of earrings? But here's a saying that I tell myself quite a bit. It ain't that hard to cut a piece of wire and make them into something else if nobody wants them for what they are. Now here's going to come the hard part and why I'm doing it like this. With other ones I had beads to figure out how tight to make it. This one I do not, so we're going to use our handy dandy spice container here to make our first bend. That still didn't turn out right. This is another idea that I had, and I haven't perfected everything yet. So I gave it a little harder tug, and that seemed to snug it up good. So the reason that I did that, reason I'm using that to actually start my circle, is because the next pair that I make, or the next one that I make that's supposed to match this one, needs to match this one. Just adjusting a little bit. Yeah, I'll adjust them in a second. I get the scarfing done so I don't have my little point sticking out here to stab me. I'm sorry that I pause in my speech sometimes. I'm not used to making jewelry and talking. I'm used to just sitting there and making jewelry. All of my talking is in my head. Now I still didn't make enough to scarf that, which is fine for this, because I think I can just cut this off. And then gently, see, I still have this piece sticking out. I need to gently fold it down and then gently squish it down. I may have cut it too short to gently squish it down, but we'll see. Again, what we don't want is anything sharp that can get tangled or hooked in your hair. So we want to squish that in as tight as we can get it. And hopefully the other one will turn out to match it. Alright, so we're a little wonky again. So when you're playing around with the wire, sometimes it just gets wonky at times. You can do that. What we're hoping for is that nobody's going to be looking at that loop anyway. They're going to be looking at the pretty beads at the bottom. Adjust these a little bit so that they're even. So right now they are nowhere near even. So we need to move them all this way. Rolling them a little bit. Get them to move. Still need to go a little farther. Having to tug on them pretty good because the beads are straight. That is still not nearly enough. But the wire's curved, so I'm having to work them around the wire. And what will happen is the wire is going to get a little off in my circle, but so close. problem I wasn't anticipating, but live and learn. I was way off. That's pretty close. No, maybe not. There's my top. Okay, I went a little too far. That is perfectly at the top. That is so close. We'll just put it back on here and we'll make everything round again. See, that's sticking out a little farther on that side than it is on that side, so that means it got bent a little bit. That's a little better. Spin it around a little bit. And there we go. Now, where I squish this down, oops, missed the camera. Where I'm squished this down, and I mean, you can't feel it. You can kind of see it, but you can't feel it. It's off just a tad. Just gave me another idea though. There we go. That's better. Not too awful bad, I don't think. Throw my earring hook on here. We want this to be the back. And I did it wrong. So we're going to start checking them before we close the loop. That'll solve the problem. There we go. Now we're in the front with the hook hanging away from us, which is what we want. I like the look of these little balls on here, but boy, are they a pain. All closed up. And we're ready to go. So now we just need to make another one. Build them all over the place. But I have my trusty dusty towel that I do my work on. And it caught all of them. None of them rolled away. We need 7. 2, 4, 6, 7. I definitely want to make some rings out of those. All right, we already had our wire cut at 10 inches. The fun part's going to be trying to match that exactly, but we can do it. I hope. Thank you, Trish. Bye. High five, Dale. How are you? I did not want to advertise too awful much about this because I was wanting to see that loop is a lot smaller. How weird. I must have used the wrong one when I did this. That's probably why. Yep, I did. So I'm going to trim that loop off, and I've got a spare piece of wire for later. And now I need my 18 gauge silver wire. We're making earrings, 5-dale. Trish challenged me to make amazing earrings. I don't know if that would be considered an amazing earring or not, but it's pretty. Thank you, Sharon. Close my gold for now. We got 10 inches of wire. Now, let's make our loop again, only this time let's use the same one we did for the other one. I should have used a smaller loop, but apparently I did not. That may be why my wire was a little shorter than I expected at the end. That's more like it. Yeah, Mimi D, that ball sometimes has a mind of its own on these things, don't it? I've had them come completely off. Come around the open hook part and come completely off of the entire hook, and I have to hunt it down and put it back together again. I think that's happened to me twice. I said sometimes, some days, your tools have a mind of their own, the wire has a mind of its own. If it ever all happens on the same day, then I'll get worried. All right. The black specks make the holes hide. Well, I have seen several videos on how to make my own earring wires, but that scares me to death for a couple of reasons. One, I only buy sterling silver, or even the gold ones here are 925 silver. I don't know how they colored them, but or stainless steel, because I've got a lot of people that I know who have sensitive ears, sensitive skin. So I'm afraid I decided that way at the beginning, that I would use at least stainless steel as the lowest metal that I do. All right, there it is. No rain today. Had some yesterday. I thought we had quite a bit of rain, but apparently we are still in a moderate drought zone. And we did notice that even with all of the rain that we have had, we still have cracks in the earth in our yard. So apparently we don't have enough rain to say we don't have a drought. This is terrible for the farmers. We're used to getting like 0 rain around here in July. It gets hot and humid in July. I don't like the way that landed. And that is actually good for the corn. But it got hot and humid and no rain at all in June. That was too early. That was when the that's when the cobs are actually forming. And once they've formed, that's as big as they're going to get. And they need that water to form the cobs. So a lot of the farmers around here have been talking about how their cobs are small. So it may not have a great... Boy, let's not do that with the lid. Let's go the other way. I'd hate to pop that whole lid off and get Cajun seasoning all over my jewelry and my bags and in my nose. That would not be fun. I don't know. How high is an elephant's eye? About the only thing. Yeah, it would definitely be spicy. I don't know if I want it to burn people when they put it on. Ooh, I missed that. Go down. I was going to say used to when I was growing up over in Indiana. I'm in Illinois now. When I was growing up in Indiana, they were like, it's going to be a good year if the corn is knee high by the 4th of July. But all of these hybrid corns they're growing now, the stupid things are knee high on the 4th of June. So, I don't know. Ooh, that'd be a good idea. Here's what since I know that I'm going, ooh, that's wonky. See if we can straighten that out a little. Since I'm not scarfing it all the way to the top because I ran out of wire with the other one, boy, those beads just went all haywire, didn't they? Right here at the top of my twist, I'm going to try and hide my little piece of the little end right there against that piece of wire so it's even easier to squish down in there. And then it's kind of tucked away. And I don't like that. I can still feel it scratchy. Yep, that is not going to work. And the reason being is because that little piece of wire that I'm trying to push it against is on its way up, not down. So it's forcing the scratchy part to go up. So we're going to back it off a little bit here. Hey, my coils are trying to come undone. Get in there. So I'm going to want to back it off. I'm going to take a little, just like a teensy, well, I need a little more than that. I'm going to take a teensy bit off of this. See, now it's bending where it doesn't want to go. There we go. Take just a little bit off this tip to get it back away from that wire a little. I spend, oops, banging against my camera. I don't know. I went looking 5-Dale for something to make my circle with, and the little spicy things was it, and little spice containers, and that's the one that was in front, and that's the one I grabbed. My wife likes really spicy stuff, and she grew up in Florida. She was born in Florida. Her mom and her mom's family are all from the Pensacola area, so that may be where she gets that from. I used to like spicy stuff. Actually, I still like the taste of spicy stuff. My problem is that 15, 20 years ago, my stomach said, you know what, we're not eating any more of this. Because when I was a kid, a teenager, I think I was 17. I think it was our senior year. My best friend had a cousin who was married to a Hispanic lady, and they came to visit, and she made some chili. Boy, howdy. I don't know what she did to it, but we were sitting there sweating eating this chili, and I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. It was delicious. Boy, it was hot. But yeah, now if I eat something anywhere near that spicy, I will be paying for it for a couple of days. My stomach just does not like it one bit. I'll have heartburn to no end. And answering Sharon's question about arrowhead earrings, I only have one pair of arrowheads that are small enough that I would consider making them earrings, and I have not made them yet. I mean, I guess some of the almosties. I guess some of the smaller arrowheads would be okay, but I've got some that are like an inch high. Those are going to be earrings. And I guess the ones that are like an inch and a half would be okay for earrings. There we go. But I haven't tried that. I don't know if it'll fit back on there to make them as round as again or not. I made that pretty tight. Doesn't seem to want to. All right. Well, there's another way to round them out. You use your fingers. The other wire. They're pretty close. I don't like that little kink right there, though. Oops, I'm off the camera again. Sorry, guys. Sometimes, see, I'm looking past the camera to do what I call close-up work. And really close-up work, I have to take my glasses off. So I'm looking past the camera. That's why I'm not seeing your chat as it comes up on. I don't look at my laptop nearly enough. But I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I can see 17 comments on my laptop. And I only see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So I want my laptop opening on my show so that I can see any chat that I might have missed by looking away for a minute. Finding out which side opens. All right, we're going this way. We want you to be the front, so you just get hooked on here. We don't want you to be the front. We want you to be the back. There we go. And there's another pair of earrings. What do we think of that little design? Having beads at the bottom and hoops. D-Day, hi! See, I was looking right at my chat when she popped in. The camera got a little wonky. Here we go. Thank you. And say, I thought up, because these I just did just finished those. Todd saw most of that. D-Day did not. These are the ones I did earlier. Both of these ideas I got just driving down the road. I've mentioned on some of my tutorials that I don't draw out my designs, but I have good, I don't know what you'd call it. I don't know if you'd call it spatial cognizance, or I don't know, but I can take and build things in my head. I built and then come home and build them. I mean, I've built and added an addition to a garage. I figured out how to fix a weird shaped roof. And I do jewelry designs in my head. And I build them. Sometimes I toss them out because I decide that they're not conceivable. Thank you, Sharon. And sometimes I come home and I put them together and they come out pretty close. These two came out exactly how I expected them to. Where? Here it is. I thought, where's my quarter? There it is. So I don't think the hoops are too big, are they? I've seen people wear way bigger hoops, but they were just the wire hoops. But I think these are a decent size. They're not too awful heavy. They're a little heavy, but not a lot. I think they'll be all right for a lot of people. Inconceivable. What's inconceivable? Thank you, D-Day. I know you can hear the air conditioning. Is it overwhelming at all? Okay, good. Because, yeah, after about 45 minutes, it started getting hot in here. And I am not a person who tolerates heat very much. It's 20 gauge wire on both of them. Nope, they're 20. I don't even have, well, actually, I think I have some 16 gauge wire, some 16 gauge aluminum wire. The only thing I've made with it is rings. It makes kind of a manly ring, and you don't have to worry about it getting tarnished or anything. And even if it gets scratched up, it's aluminum all the way through. So yeah, I was using 20 gauge gold for the ruby zoisite. Oh, actually, I take that back. For the silver ones, I was using 18 gauge. Yeah, so the silver ones are 18 gauge, and I wanted to use the 18 gauge because I knew I was only going to be using a half round of beads. These are 18 because I figured the beads would help the wire hold its shape and keep from getting all bent up. Yeah, like I said, I don't do anything with 16 gauge. 18 is about as high as I go. And 20 is about as low as I go. My trees of life and such, I've got some 26 gauge for those, but I can't get the hang of weaving. I've tried a few times. I don't have the patience. Well, that's cool, Sharon. Finding rocks is fun. Oh, I haven't seen The Princess Bride in a while. It's a good movie. I really enjoy it, but it wasn't like on my super high list of movies to rewatch. All right. Well, this was my first one. Gone for an hour and 17 minutes. I forgot to eat lunch, and I can smell the meatloaf my wife is cooking. So, I will see you guys later tonight. My plan right now is at least once a month I'm going to do this. It's always going to be on a Saturday. It's always going to be around 4 o'clock probably. But with work and the grandkids, I got the grandkids all weekend next weekend, and then I've got a show the Saturday after that. And then I don't know if I'm going to be off work or working the Saturday after that. So see, I've got another show at the end of August. I've got a show in October. I got one on Labor Day weekend. So, of course, if I'm having a show, I'm not going to be on here having a show. Thank you, Mimi D. You guys did great too. I wasn't completely overwhelmed. I think the most we had was 8 people at one time. So I was able to follow along with the chat, get used to looking back and forth between my phone and my laptop. But yep, I plan on once a month, about 4 o'clock on a Saturday. You're welcome. And thank you guys for coming to the show and helping me figure out how all this works. I still can't figure out how to turn the thing sideways. I thought if I put it on auto rotate, it would go sideways. But it didn't, so I had to straighten it back out again. The regular crowd shuffles in. Well, this is the crowd of the people that I consider my craft friends. There's a few more, but you guys are all definitely the ones that I've known the longest, actually, I think. And good night, and I might see some of you later tonight at another show. So we're going to go ahead and end this. Thanks again, everybody, and hopefully it'll get better and better as we go. Goodbye.